there, my travelers. We are here in Riverside, Iowa, where we are featured character named Voyage Home. Check it out.
Okay. I am Phil Richmond. I am president here of the Voyage Home Museum here in Riverside, Iowa. Feature birthplace of Captain James D. Kirk.
Coming up in just a few hundred years, right?
Yeah, 203 to be.
Okay.
And our first case here, of course, we start off with NASA stuff since that's the precursor to everything. The one year at our festival, we had Dr. Kjell Lundgren here, and the flight jacket there is actually from NASA. He came in with that and said, "Here, it's for you."
Wow, that's awesome.
And then Dr. David Wolf, I've actually met a few times, and then one of our donations. We had the other one, but we got like pictures from they revealed this space shuttle Enterprise. They had pretty much the entire original series cast.
Really?
All of them but Mr. Shatner.
It's probably doing a movie.
We got some pictures in the shell when she was on the, I forget what they even call it. This Sophia Stratosphere Infrared Observatory aircraft, which is pretty much not quite in space, but pretty darn close. And then, of course, we got lots of different NASA autograph photos and different space toys, which come from one of our volunteers, Mr. Ron Warren. Then next year we got a case. This was a longtime supporter of TrekFest. He actually came here every year. He helped support. He actually was helping us run the festival, but he lives in Michigan. A couple of years ago, not long after the festival, he had a heart attack and passed away. Uh-huh. So last year we kind of honored his memory. We had his kids riding the parade and that.
So what is TrekFest?
It's last Saturday in June, whatever that weekend is.
Okay.
So this year will be the 26th to the 28th of June. We have Dominique Keating and Connor Trenier from Star Trek Enterprise will be here. And we also got Bobby Clark, the Gorn from the original series. He'll be here in the museum for the weekend.
That's awesome. What is that like? What does that mean to this town?
Like, it's our busiest weekend. Every business generally has their best weekend that year.
Okay. Trying to think, like, now, how did you guys get the claim for the next future birthplace of Kirk?
Well, in a way, it was Gene Roddenberry. He had wrote a book back in the 60s, and in that book, the character of Captain Kirk was born in the small town of the state of Iowa, and that's all he said. In the 80s, the mayor of this town asked city council to come up with ways to promote tourism. The one guy in council had read that book. He's like, let's proclaim ourselves to be the town Roddenberry's talking about. He got a hold of Gene Roddenberry, got his approval. So once Roddenberry agreed to it, all the Trek fans take it as real. Then it's kind of just kept going from there. And since then, like a couple years after that, the movie The Voyage Home came out. That was the first time Shatner ever said, his character was from Iowa. Like, are you from outer space? No, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space.
Has Shatner been here?
He came here just to do a reality show. He said he's making a science fiction movie. He's going to film in a small town. So naturally he came here. But what he did was a reality show on how a small town acts when Hollywood comes to make a movie there. So Shatner played a joke on the town. But he was here for a couple of weeks. That was before I lived here, so I have never met him. But that was 20 years ago. Shatner wrote after he was here to that Invasion Iowa show. So it's got about a dozen pages about Riverside in it. And this is just all paperbacks. I'm still in the process of filling this in when I come across them and get them all sorted out. Those go back to the 60s. You got all the James Blish ones from the 60s and 70s. And that whole bottom thing is different manuals. Actually got manuals on like how to operate the Enterprise. And over here we have the desks from Davis Quarters from the Next Generation. A gentleman had bought this at Christie's auction up in Massachusetts. And he was going to move, and he didn't want to move it because it weighs a lot. So he contacted us and said he'll donate it to us if we come get it.
How much did that cost?
Nothing.
What I meant to get it.
Well, two guys flew up there. That was our cost. Flew up, rented a truck, and then they loaded it and drove it back. So that was the only cost of truck rental and airfare.
For this thing of prices.
Yep. And then we was at a convention where Brent Spiner was there.
Has Brent Spiner ever came here?
No, he's never been here. But the one couple I was with, she had a picture of him sent to Vanessa and explained how he had it, so he signed it. Thanks for taking care of my desk. And then he held it up, and we were taking a picture of him holding it up. So Brown was cool about it. Yeah.
he's like my favorite like actor, and
Yeah. Pretty much everybody loves Spock, and
he did, yeah.
it's like they like the people that aren't human. And this is just different stuff on some of the women of Star Trek. We've got several autograph pictures and different figures and whatnot.
I know you said you're not caught up on a lot of the series, but I gotta ask this kind of very controversial question. What's your thoughts as Janeway as a captain?
I like her. I mean, I've seen probably the first 3 seasons of Voyager, and I like her. I actually drove to Bloomington, Indiana to go to the dedication of the future birthplace of Captain Janeway Monument.
I didn't realize that was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they talk about that on the show. One of the writers of the show graduated from Indiana University, so they made her character from Bloomington. But they have a little monument down there now. It's kind of cool. They actually had, Kate Mulgrew came to it a few years ago. They had her appear there.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you ever go to Bloomington, it's just, there's a trail through town there, and it's right on that trail. I couldn't tell you exactly where it's at, but I know how to get there. Then we have lots of photo ops here. So this is like a bridge set up so people can sit in chairs and take photos.
Now, is it like a certain class? Is it from like original series setup, or is it?
It's just a setup we did. That the chairs here are similar to the ones like on the show. We painted a similar color. We have one person here who knows a lot about that stuff. So he got the right color paint, the right kind of chairs, and he assembled these. So we got the proper chairs. Now the captain's chair, the original one we had belonged to somebody, and they moved away, so they took it with them. So we needed a captain's chair. So we actually contacted our local high school. And this was made by the shop class there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Their wood shop class. Back 6 years ago.
So is the community of this town really involved in the Star Trek lore too, and like
Some yes, some no. Some just kind of don't care. Some wish it would go away. And we have that thing. Then they don't make the stand-up cutouts like those of the new characters. So we kind of created them, like taping their face to a mannequin.
I know I had the opportunity to get a Deanna Troy cutout, and I regret not taking it, but I don't want to have to try to drive that one home.
Yeah, well, actually the guy was used to be press up there. He just went online. He found a bunch of them. Yeah, 13 scattered about in here.
Really?
But Deanna Troy was not one of them. Like all the women I put over there, so we had the women. Our 7 and 9 is not Voyager 7 and 9. That is the card 7
Yeah.
and 9.
I know, that's crazy. I'm like, not many people are starting to, I haven't seen any new 7 and 9.
Yeah. And over here, this kind of case, it's just all spaceships. Generally models or the plastic play toys. Be doing some switching around in here. Since our guest from Enterprise this year, I'll have the one case over there with the monument or the thing from Noli. That's going to be all Enterprise stuff. So my NX-01, that actually Noli made that.
Really?
That'll be put over there with that stuff. We got like autograph pictures of all of them, and it'll just be that kind of information on what's going on for TrekFest will be over there. This is all little figures. These I switch out every year. Every other year I put in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're just kind of bizarre.
I like them.
Everybody that grew up in the 80s, a lot of people don't even realize they did those. I haven't decided which ones I'm going to put in here yet for this year. I've been to the Deep Space Nine ones. We've had Deep Space Nine guests here for the last 3 TrekFest people we have from Deep Space Nine.
Who all did you get from Deep?
Well, first we had Gowron and Martok, J.G. Hertzman, Robert
Really?
Riley. The next year we had Chase Masterson. And last year we had Terry Farrell. So it's been kind of fun. When I get back into the comics, we actually have most all of Gold Key comics, which came out when Star Trek was on TV in the 60s. So that'll be kind of cool. These are all newer ones, as you can tell. I didn't realize they actually did comics of an animated show. Lower Decks. It was kind of weird.
Which is, I honestly like the show. It gets kind of a mixed reviews, but it does. It highlights the Lower Decks and what's your main bridge crew.
Well, I love the crossover. Yeah. And this is all Ron, our other volunteer today. He has a huge autograph collection. This is all his stuff. And then the one other volunteer here has a spaceship collection of these. So those are all his. And on top, that is a totally hand-built Enterprise. It's not a model kit. It even works. Friend Ronson made that, and kind of cool. Gotta shut this off. My battery's gonna die. And just all the odd stuff. That's what these next cases are just filled with little odds in it. They don't really fit in anything. When J.G. Hertz and Robert O'Reilly were here, they've been here twice. They actually had Fat with guitars made. They got a few musicians. They made a band. They played classic rock and Birthplace on Friday night when they was here the first time. And then the two guitars, one is for the museum to put on display, and the other one was to be auctioned off for some charity, which we did that when they came back 3 years ago. But these are just all bizarre, odd things. Mr. Potato Head, which I have heard there's another one of those. I gotta find it now.
I have Star Trek candy. I might have to come donate to you guys.
And then there's more odds and ends. Pez dispensers. Got a little thing there for the Janeway Monument. The one restaurant there, they had a Star Trek themed menu. This weekend they dedicated that. It's kind of fun. I ate it a couple times.
It's so cool.
3D chess set, you gotta have that.
Yeah, I want to learn how to play 3D chess.
I don't even know if there's rules to it. I think they just move pieces around.
I think there's like made up online that fans came up with.
There's just all this different glassware we keep going. I think we got most of the sets that restaurants were giving out, you know, because there's two of the original series ones. There's the motion picture, Search for Spock, 2009 movie, sets of coffee cups, those globes, which are kind of weird. These little figurines, they actually did one of these. I think there's one for every episode of the original series. They're really cool in detail. This is something different over here with Kirk and the Gorn, which that's going to have to go in my TrekFest case. Yeah. But then just all these different glasses. I like those mugs. I have no idea how many of those they made. We found 5 of them here. Plastic cups. Those are glow in the dark.
No way.
From Stop and Go. It's a convenience store down like in Missouri and that. An Enterprise plateware set. Yeah, we get cool stuff. And of course, another photo op. We gotta have a transporter, which this, you get on, it actually transports you out.
That's so cool.
And of course, our buddy the Gorn. Everybody needs a Gorn.
I do. I brought mine with me.
And that's actually just a mannequin.
Really?
You can buy the Gorn mask. The body is some lizard creature from, I think, a Spider-Man thing. The feet are like the creature from the Black Lagoon. They made the weapon there, which if anybody didn't have a weapon in the show, so I don't know where that came from. Our Gorn is armed. And somebody that sews made the tunic for him. I'm curious to see what Bobby Clark says about this.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have.
We're actually going to put him behind where he's signing autographs at. And then the back 2 uniforms, though, those are actually from sets. The one there is worn by a few people, background people on episodes of The Next Generation. The one on the right was worn by a body double for Harry Kim on an episode of Voyager.
Okay.
Then we got lots of ships. This one I actually thought was kind of hand-built also, but I have found out that's a kit. I met other people that had that same thing. But a lot of these are just kind of bizarre. Then we got some games in there. And Klingon stuff. Yeah, Herky is the University of Iowa mascot. They've done this. They call it Herky on Parade. We get a whole bunch of those. They're just blank statues. Different artists clean them up different ways. And we got one and we kirked him out. Actually, his hand was in a fist. We got permission to cut that off and do a live long and prosper with his feathered fingers. That's awesome. Autograph pictures we got to get. Paul Wesley yet. Paul Wesley is James Kirk in the Strange New Worlds.
Okay. Oh, that's
so there's actually three actors now that play James Kirk.
I always forget he pops up in that one.
Yep. He's Lieutenant Kirk at that
time.
That I got from a Burger King when the 2009 movie came out. Had to take the glasses out of there because they were actually in that originally. But that display case is made to last 1 month in the Burger King store, not 10 years in a museum.